Hello everyone, and welcome to my Sister Wives For You channel. I hope everyone is having a wonderful day. Before we begin, please hit the subscribe button and give this video a thumbs up. After spouses Mary, Janelle, and Christine divorced Kody Brown, fans saw polygamist Robyn and Kody Brown talk about the potential of getting a new sister wife in the Sister Spouses Season 20 trailer. Since the pair is monogamous, fans have been curious to know if they plan to take on another sister wife. Kody has now disclosed the qualities he hopes to find in a future companion. To learn more, continue reading. Robyn Brown and Kody Brown talk about getting another sister wife. Kody and Robyn Brown, the stars of Sister Wives, have been debating whether or not to add another sister wife to their family. Since Kody was divorced by his first, second, and third wives, they have been living as a monogamous relationship. The pair is seen talking about their possibilities in a recent segment from Season 20. Kody informs his spouse. Robyn Brown didn't seem to like this notion. The pair talks about getting another wife in a different video. Robyn is informed by Kody. Kody went on to say that he thought their connection was fantastic and that he thought the dynamic of their relationship would alter if they took on another wife. He wondered why they would jeopardize their relationship. This makes sense considering that Robyn's arrival as the fourth wife to the Brown family caused them to fall apart. Why would we put that at risk? Kody asked in an attempt to clarify. Regarding their relationship, he says, for anything other than, Robyn, his wife, cut him off saying, a guarantee, which she refers to as not possible. Kody Brown clearly explains what he expects from his new wife. Robyn, Kody Brown's wife, was informed of the factors that may lead him to think about taking a second wife. There's something I want, maybe more than you do, he informed her. What? His wife asks him sharply. What are you saying? The reality star acknowledges that he doesn't want to talk about it, but his wife presses him to say, oh, you're talking about sex. Brown added that physical attraction would be his primary motivation for taking on a second sister wife. Brown acknowledged. And that would be the very worst reason, Robyn responded, completely unimpressed. Her husband told her that he would want to be able to connect with a new companion. Kody doesn't understand how he comes across, Robyn tells him. He responds. Christine, the ex-wife of Kody Brown, added to the couple's discussion. According to her, it will just be for the cameras if her ex-husband and ex-sister wife decide to bring another wife into the family. She said that since they are soulmates, she hoped they wouldn't take on another wife because it felt unfair, dishonest, and staged. Kody Brown, the polarizing patriarch of TLC's long-running reality series Sister Wives, has never shied away from stirring the pot when it comes to his unconventional lifestyle, but his latest comments about wanting, or at least envisioning, a potential fifth wife have reignited the debate about whether he is truly committed to the women who once formed his plural family, or if he is simply addicted to the idea of control and new beginnings, because after the implosion of his marriages to Christine, Janelle, and Mary, and with Robyn standing as the last woman left in his corner, the notion that Kody might still be shopping for another spiritual spouse is both shocking and, in the eyes of many fans, completely unsurprising, since his entire storyline over the past decade has been defined by restlessness, ego, and an endless hunger for affirmation. When he explained in a recent candid sit-down that his vision of a fifth wife would not be someone who simply walks into the family for the sake of the cameras, but a woman who, in his words, aligns with his beliefs, his goals, and his sense of loyalty, viewers could not help but roll their eyes, because his track record suggests that his beliefs shift when it suits him. His goals have always revolved around building an empire with himself at the center, and his sense of loyalty seems to extend only as far as the person feeding his ego. Yet Kody tried to paint the picture of this hypothetical woman as a grounding force. Someone young enough to share energy and vision but mature enough to understand sacrifice, a comment that many fans instantly labeled as gross, because it once again plays into the stereotype that Kody has a wandering eye and is perpetually searching for a fountain of youth in female form, rather than facing the real issue, the collapse of trust and partnership in his existing marriages. Still, his insistence on describing what he would want in this so-called ideal fifth wife, such as devotion to family unity, willingness to embrace plural marriage, and a heart that can endure the struggles of scrutiny, came across as more of a self-serving shopping list than a heartfelt wish for companionship, since everyone who has watched Sister Wives knows that Christine endured decades of struggle before walking away. Janelle sacrificed her independence and finances before realizing she was left with nothing. And Mary endured public humiliation when her catfish scandal became national tabloid fodder, while Kody all but abandoned her emotionally, which makes it deeply ironic that Kody still presents himself as a man deserving of yet another woman's loyalty. And yet, for Kody, this talk of a fifth wife is not merely hypothetical. It serves as both a distraction from his tarnished reputation and a baited hook for TLC producers, who are surely weighing whether such a storyline could breathe new life into the show's sagging ratings, because nothing grabs eyeballs like a shocking twist in the Brown family saga, especially one involving the possibility of Kody courting younger, new wife, while his older children openly express disdain for his lifestyle and his estranged wives continue to build independent, thriving lives outside of his shadow. The backlash, of course, was swift online, with fans slamming him for daring to suggest he deserves another wife when he has failed so spectacularly in maintaining the marriages he already had. And yet there is a core group of viewers who suspect that Kody might just pull the trigger on this idea, not necessarily out of genuine love, but out of a desire to prove to the world, and maybe even to his exes, that he still has the charm, power, and influence to attract fresh blood into his orbit. And if that sounds cynical, it's because everything about Kody's demeanor over the last several seasons has screamed desperation, from his attempts to redistribute the Coyote Pass property in a way that benefits Robyn above everyone else to his ongoing battle with his adult children over respect, hierarchy, and who is willing to still call him Dad after years of alienation. In many ways, his musings about a fifth wife represent not so much a practical plan, but a metaphorical escape hatch, because with Robyn, the relationship is increasingly painted as codependent and suffocating, with her tears and his temper defining most of their screen time, and with the other wives gone, Kody seems unable to accept the idea of fading into obscurity. So what better way to demand relevance than by floating the possibility of a new addition, a dramatic shift, a cliffhanger that ensures Sister Wives doesn't end with him sulking on a porch in Flagstaff, lamenting the betrayal of his family. Indeed, Kody has become a master of reframing his own shortcomings as grand statements about plural marriage, blaming disloyalty and a lack of commitment in his wives rather than taking ownership for his controlling tendencies, his fiery rants, and his blatant favoritism of Robyn. And so when he speaks about what he wants in a fifth wife, it's less about her as a person and more about her as a prop. Someone to validate his lingering belief that he is still the leader of a family, still the man who could inspire women to sacrifice for him, and still the patriarch TLC built an empire around. But the reality is that the women he once held power over are now thriving without him. Christine happily remarried, Janelle rediscovering her independence and focusing on health and empowerment, and Mary exploring new love rumors and posting wholesome messages about resilience, while Kody appears stuck, spinning fantasies about a future wife, while simultaneously losing the trust of his children, the support of viewers, and even, some suspect, the patience of Robyn, who might outwardly say she doesn't want him to take another wife, but who may secretly fear that if she doesn't let him at least try, his resentment toward her will only grow, creating yet another fracture in a family tree already split beyond repair. Thus, when Kody explains what he wants in a fifth wife, it's not simply a revelation about his desires. It's a reflection of his inability to live in the reality he created, a man clinging to a narrative that no longer fits, a patriarch who no longer has a functioning plural family, yet still performs as though his destiny is to multiply, expand, and attract more women into his fold, even as the world watches the wreckage of his past play out on screen, making it clear that any woman who would dare step into that role would not be stepping into love, but into a circus, one fueled by ratings, ego, and the endless drama of Kody Brown's search for validation. What makes Kody Brown's recent explanation of what he wants in a fifth wife even more jaw-dropping is how blatantly it exposes the contradictions that have always lived at the heart of his personality, because here is a man who has spent more than a decade preaching about faith, family, and sacrifice while simultaneously letting three of his wives walk away feeling discarded, voiceless, and stripped of self-worth. And yet, he still talks about plural marriage as though it is a higher calling, something pure and sacred, almost as if Christine's tears, Janelle's frustrations, and Mary's heartbreak never happened, as if his own failures don't count when he's painting the picture of his ideal partner, which he described as someone who will never question his authority, who will uphold his vision for unity, and who will stand with him against critics and naysayers. And the irony, of course, is that those critics and naysayers are not strangers on the internet but his own children, his former wives, and even members of his extended family who have openly called him out for hypocrisy. Fans have been quick to point out that Kody's idea of loyalty often looks like obedience and submission, and so when he says he wants a fifth wife who can endure pressure, what he might really be saying is that he wants a woman who will not dare to rebel like Christine did, who will not demand financial transparency like Janelle did, and who will not expect emotional intimacy like Mary did, because those are the exact areas where Kody failed miserably, and by dreaming of someone new, he avoids accountability for those failures. Yet beneath the bravado of his statements, there seems to be a man desperately trying to rewrite history, because the cracks in his empire are now impossible to ignore. His once sprawling family of 18 children is fractured, with some kids openly rejecting him, others keeping their distance, and several no longer participating in filming, while his only remaining marriage to Robin appears weighed down by sorrow, constant crying, and tension about finances and property, particularly surrounding the still unresolved Coyote Pass land drama, which has become a metaphor for the family's collapse, because where Kody once dreamed of building 4 houses to symbolize unity, all that remains are endless arguments, unfulfilled promises, and bitterness, and in that void, the idea of a fifth wife takes on almost a symbolic meaning for Kody, not necessarily a practical plan, but a fantasy that allows him to believe he could reset the clock, prove he is still capable of attracting devotion, and maybe even salvage the storyline of Sister Wives as TLC producers desperately search for fresh angles to keep the show alive beyond season 19. Critics have already suggested that Kody floating this idea publicly is a calculated move, a way of testing fan reaction and gauging whether such a plot twist would generate enough buzz to secure more seasons, because with Christine remarried and Janelle openly done, and with Mary carving out her independence, the only real chaos left to exploit is either a shocking feud between Kody and his kids or the introduction of a mysterious new woman, and it is no secret that TLC thrives on drama that blurs the line between reality and spectacle, so Kody's musings about a young, loyal, and faithful fifth wife may very well be bait for casting scouts or for future storyline in which he begins a courtship, even if only on camera. But the backlash cannot be underestimated, because the fan base that once tuned in to witness a unique experiment in plural marriage has now largely shifted into a community of critics, many of whom watch not out of admiration but out of fascination with the implosion of Kody's empire, and those voices are louder than ever, mocking his idea of deserving a fifth wife when his existing four all ended in pain, calling him delusional for suggesting he could attract someone mature yet youthful, and branding him as a man who confuses control for love. Yet despite all of this, Kody continues to speak with the conviction of a leader, talking about building again, about reclaiming unity, and about how God's plan might still include more, and whether he truly believes this or is simply performing for the cameras is anyone's guess, but the effect is the same. Fans are once again talking about Kody Brown, dissecting his motives, speculating whether Robin would ever accept such a move, and debating if any woman in 2025 would be willing to walk into such a mess of broken promises and stepchildren who openly despise their father. And while some fans insist it's impossible, others point out that Kody has always had charisma when he wants to, that he still has a platform through TLC, and that there are women out there drawn to the spotlight, to the drama, and to the twisted idea of becoming part of reality TV history. Meaning that as outrageous as it sounds, Kody finding a fifth wife may not be completely outside the realm of possibility, but even if it never materializes, his words alone have already reshaped the conversation, because instead of viewers asking, "How did Kody lose everything?" they are now posing the question, Is he genuinely attempting to start over? And that change in storyline keeps him right where he wants to be, in the spotlight, avoiding the reality that the women who left him are succeeding while he is stuck, dreaming out loud about a potential non-existent partner, a dream that speaks more about what he doesn't want in a wife than it does about what he doesn't want in himself.